contrarian, leave it to contrarian badass Reggie Middleton. He called the housing crash, he called the collapse of Bear Stearns and Lehman Brothers, and the crisis in the Eurozone banking system. Reggie Middleton.
You ready?
I was born ready.
Okay.
So this is a new format, and I have a professional here to assist.
Hi everyone, my name is Natasha, and I am, like Reggie said, I'm here to assist the conversation and really break down some interesting topics today, so I'm really excited.
Okay, so we are ending the North American Bitcoin Conference for 2022 down in Miami. It's cold for me, but it's potentially educational. You know, I am a self-proclaimed person who knows what they're doing, and the biggest topic in the conference, believe it or not, is not me. It is.
Should we let them guess?
Take a guess.
Take a guess.
Wrong.
Probably right.
It is
none other than
NFTs. NFTs.
The big buzzword.
So she had a lot of questions. Did you introduce yourself?
I did say my name. My name's Tasha, and I will put a link to my social media down below. Okay. I do English teaching content, and right now I'm transitioning into English crypto content. So I will be breaking down what an NFT is and Bitcoin and the whole atmosphere for people who want to learn English. So I think that's going to be exciting.
Okay.
My new venture.
And she cheated and she told you what the big brouhaha was down here. And in New York as well, NFTs. Okay. So this is going to have a rude title. So we're going to go through NFTs, and you know, I have some issues with not NFTs, but the way NFTs are being marketed and presented. Microphone check. 1, 2. That's before your time, the old hip hop days, right? Okay.
1, 2, 3, 4 test, right? I was there.
No, you weren't there. But that's cute though.
I was there in spirit.
Yeah. So NFTs were a big thing. Okay. Are you into crypto?
Actually, I am.
Okay.
Yes, I am.
How long have you been into it?
I have heard about it for 10 years.
Okay.
And when doing something about it is a different story. That's probably 3 years, but actually getting into it is probably 6 months.
6 months. Okay.
Yeah.
So I'm going to bring you to school, young lady.
Yeah. Okay. Ready for my assignment.
Okay. What's an NFT?
An NFT, so it's a non-fungible token.
Okay.
And freeze.
And I'm going to interrupt simply because we take this in small bites.
Okay, cool.
Okay. And for the audience who doesn't know what an NFT is, chances are they're not going to know what a non-fungible token is.
I'll get to that.
Okay. Acronym NFT, non-fungible token. What is a non-fungible token?
So if you look at the word in itself, fungible, it's something that can be replicated. And if you say non-fungible, then it means it cannot be replicated. So you can't have more than one of whatever it is. So for example, Michael Jordan's shoe, there's only one of those of that model and that type. So that would make it non-fungible. But if something fungible would be a Coca-Cola can. You can have tons of them.
Okay.
So that's my understanding of it. Okay. Whereas, and if you go into an NFT in terms of crypto, then it's a blockchain.
Okay. So this is where I'm going to jump in.
Thank you.
Okay. So non-fungible versus fungible. Fungible means you have multiple items, and a fungible item is when you can take one item and replace it with another item, and there is no difference, no material difference. That's fungibility. Non-fungibility means if you take another item, it won't be a usable replacement. So it doesn't necessarily mean it could be replicated or cannot be replicated. It means if you take one and replace it with another, there is no material functional difference.
Okay.
US dollars, theoretically, are fungible. Okay, so if I give you $100, single bills, you could go and spend them and then someone else takes those dollars and brings them back, a different dollar and brings it back, it still has $1 worth of value, $1 worth of potential use, and $1 worth of utility, potentially.
Right.
Not true in all reality, because there's serial numbers on the bills that could be marked and they could be labeled as black market, etc. Okay, but we're not going to get into the weeds, which I tend to do because I'm a nerd. So something that is non-fungible would be something that can't be easily replaced with something else of the same series, but not necessarily not replicated. The Mona Lisa is non-fungible. Okay, a blank canvas could be potentially fungible.
Right.
Okay, as an example, might not be the best. Okay, but you were quite close. Okay, so it's more of a technical, issue. So finish,
So
please.
To add to that, I was also going to say that, the blockchain technology can be used for art, concert tickets, items. And I wanted to go into that with you briefly. So what are your thoughts on that? Because what are your thoughts on using NFTs for everything, for art, concert tickets, and music, things like that?
She gave a definition, and she mentioned the word blockchain. So assume that your audience does not know everything. What is a blockchain?
A blockchain is a ledger of transactions that you can trace back to.
And what is a ledger of transactions? Give me the whole definition.
So different codes that you can see. So for example, if I send you money and I send you money for a token, for a cryptocurrency, we can see where that has been transferred to through a ledger, through lines of code.
Okay.
And we can see who's the owner of this.
Simple way of doing it is, Carrie bought 3 apples. She bought 3 apples from Betty. Betty took the money from the 3 apples and bought 5 grapes. She bought 5 grapes from Tom. Tom got the grapes from Anastasia, etc., etc. And we write each one down. So the ledger is just a record, as you said, of transactions. X, Y, Z, prices, timestamps, etc. So the blockchain is a database that records all this stuff down, and it records it down allegedly in an immutable way that cannot be changed after a certain amount of time, or cannot be changed easily without the change being detected. Okay. Now, this is going to be too much for a typical tutorial video. This could be edited in and out, but I want to make sure that we go through,
step
the steps.
by step.
The reason is, we're going to get to the reason in a minute. So continue now.
All right. So Reggie, why don't you explain what a blockchain is?
Okay. So a blockchain is a database that uses blocks, right, to record a transaction. A block is simply portion of information that says X happened to Y at Z time. Oversimplification. The blocks are laid against each other. So one block represents one set of transactions, another block represents another set of transactions. Think about a building, a brick wall, okay? And after a certain amount of bricks, it becomes very difficult to go back to that first brick and change it, because you have to go through all the other bricks. And it takes a lot of computational power. You build that brick, a brick wall is 10 feet by the end of the hour, 100 feet tall by the end of the day, and by the end of the month, thousands of feet. If someone wants to go in and change that record, you got to dig through thousands of feet of brick to get to that first brick and change it. Lots of computational power it takes. And is anybody going to notice that dude breaking down a brick wall to try and change that brick on the bottom? Probably. So that is also another safety feature.
So you must hear this word thrown out a lot in the community. So what are some of the myths that you heard, or the misinformation about blockchain technology that you've heard?
Oh, there's so many, it's hard to tell.
Well,
the biggest one.
Yeah, let's talk about the biggest one.
It's decentralized. And because it's decentralized, it's the way everything's supposed to be.
Yeah, it's like the buzzword. Like,
right,
if it's decentralized, then it must be good type of thing.
And you hear that all throughout the conference. Decentralization is when things are not in one place, but spread out. Centralization is the opposite. Nothing is fully centralized. and there's nothing that's fully decentralized.
Okay, what about Bitcoin? Do you think Bitcoin is fully decentralized since it doesn't have like an owner?
Absolutely not. It's not fully decentralized, and it's not even centralized.
Okay. This is new information for me because I was learning even from people, early adopters, saying like that's why Bitcoin is it, because it's decentralized, it's not owned by anyone. So I'm really thankful to ask this question.
Okay. Well, we'll attack that. And you have this concept of a noun, Bitcoin maximalists. They think Bitcoin is the maximum of all value in the world. Okay, a cult-like following. Bitcoin is centralized. Here's the easiest way to figure it out. Bitcoin is computer code, like all this stuff. The computer code has to be written by somebody, and when it's written, it has to be put into a repository for everybody else to copy and load into their computers. Okay, in order for it to be decentralized, everybody should have access to that code and access to the repository, right, to publish it for everybody to run it. Now, if everybody had access to that Bitcoin repository and you had a bad actor, suppose you come up and say, I'm going to put, I don't know, bird pornography into the Bitcoin code, and everybody's going to see birds do nasty things. Okay, and you decide to do that, and you could do that if it was decentralized and everybody had access to it. That would destroy the Bitcoin codes purely.
That just, wow.
Right? So in order to prevent that, they minimalize or centralize the amount of people who have access to this code. It's called a GitHub. That's where the popular code repository is. I think there are 5 developers who have access to the GitHub repository, maybe 7. It doesn't matter, because 5, 7, 10, or even 15 is centralized, especially considering the amount of users in Bitcoin and the amount of nodes.
That's true.
And that's not the only way to centralize, that's just one. But you want to know something? It's not that bad. But if you are taught the decentralization mantra, decentralization is good, centralization is bad, you consider it bad.
Right.
Decentralization is here, centralization is there. Everything exists upon a spectrum between the two. Okay, Bitcoin is farther to the decentralization side than many others, but it's by far not fully centralized.
Okay, so thanks for breaking that down, because before my understanding was just basically, does it have a face or not, right? So that's how I understood it. So this is really good information.
Okay. This is called the truth. And you can entertain them. I'll be right back. Say something real interesting and smart.
All right. Did you know that dolphins are the only mammals?
Dolphins are the only mammals that originally knew the name of Reggie Middleton's company, which is Veritasium. Veritasium is the element, EUM, of truth, veritas. So you hear a lot of uncomfortable truths today, okay?
And it's heavy.
And it's heavy.
It's worth a lot.
This is actually my business card. So unfortunately, you can't see the other side because everybody would call me, okay? Now, that's...
Oh, did I show the other side? I'm going to have to blur that out, guys.
So that's Bitcoin, okay? Here's some more uncomfortable truths. Hey, let's finish going through
Wait, you know,
NFTs.
I have a good... Yeah, we're going to continue NFTs. Just one last question. I heard in the grapevine, and this may not be posted because it's top secret information, but they're saying that Veritasium is going to be the next Bitcoin in terms of value.
Hey.
I mean...
Who knows? I can't predict the future.
Okay.
But Veritasium is the very tokens, or the tokens that MyCoin launched in ICO, initial coin offering in 2017. Had a lot of rough rides, litigation with the government, etc. But Veritasium may benefit from the fact that Veritasium's owner, Moi, filed patent applications for his discovery in decentralized finance. And they've been issued by the US government, the Japanese government, which gives a lot of influence over the crypto industry, a lot. And not just the pure crypto industry, finance in general, if it's done through a distributed ledger or blockchain. Fancy words for saying, if you go through that database and use financial instruments that rely on a data source, very good chance that it comes under the purview of our patents.
Well, we're going to need another video at some point because just by talking about this, I have like this can of worms questions that I feel like a lot of people could benefit from. But we know that the focus is on NFTs, so... Actually
focus on whatever you want, but you choose NFTs, you can go down the rabbit hole up until it's time for me to eat because I will pass out from a lack of food.
So I'll save my question for next time or at the end of this chat.
Okay. So you were discussing NFTs, you went through blockchain, you asked me what it was. So back to NFTs.
So we'll get to the juicy stuff?
Right.
All right, so...
You did ask me a question about NFTs, but ask it again because I forgot you asked it. Go ahead.
So should I talk about like the title of this video? Or...
Yeah.
Okay, so let's get into the juicy stuff?
Yeah, juicy stuff.
We don't want to be clickbait here. Okay. We want to be...
So...
We're back.
You're back again. Thank God for editing software, right? Okay, so... What were you going to tell the crowd about the title of the video?
Well, first of all, what you said was controversial to me because all I'm hearing is NFTs, 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 to the point that even Art Basel, which happened a few weeks ago or a month ago, was all about NFTs. Everything. I mean, I can't say everything, but most events were all around NFTs. So clearly it's a very big topic and a very big buzzword, right? So for you to go against that and say, not necessarily against it, but to have a different perspective is very interesting for me. And I think very interesting to a lot of other people.
Okay.
So I would love to break that down today.
Why should anybody believe what I say?
Well, I think in life, like, it's good to have different perspectives and, you know, don't throw the baby out with the bathwater, but also don't follow blindly as well.
Okay. So why you should believe me is because I'm actually pretty good at this stuff. I have a pretty decent track record. I was a real estate investor, invested in .com. Sold my real estate off right before the big crash. I created an investment newsletter, Boom Bust blog, in there. I created big reports, 36-page reports, 40-page reports. I predicted the collapse of Bear Stearns in 2008 of January. They collapsed 3 months later, almost took the world down. I predicted the collapse of Lehman Brothers, and when they collapsed, they did take the world down. I predicted the residential real estate crash. I predicted the commercial real estate crash. I predicted the collapse of the European sovereign debt system, collapsed. I predicted Google and Android taking over the mobile world. I predicted Apple being overpriced and dropping. About 86 to 92 calls over since 2007 to about 2014, over the 7 years. Then I got into Bitcoin in 2013, and I created decentralized finance. I patented it in 2014, or applied, and they were issued between last year and this year in the US and Japan. And from an intellectual property perspective, I own wide, significant swaths of the crypto industry in terms of intellectual property. So I know what I'm talking about. So NFTs, you hear it's all over the place.
Right.
NFT technology is interesting because non-fungible items, and we went through fungible and non-fungible in a video that's stuck on a different camera, but we'll see what we can do. The non-fungible versus fungible items, NFTs are perfect for certain things. Absolutely perfect. A good example is what? What's it very good for?
It's very good for, like I said, this famous person's item.
No. Well, not necessarily. Tell me why. I take that back. That's not true.
So let's say if a famous person wanted to sell an item, it's a great way to authenticate. Or let's just use the Mona Lisa as an example. It's if someone were to buy it, we would be able to authenticate its authenticity. Whereas, you know, a lot of...
Using an NFT?
Yeah, using the technology.
How?
Isn't it that the artist puts it on the blockchain and there's codes to say that this is the owner?
Not as the NFTs are being marketed now that I can see.
Okay.
Okay, big misunderstanding, which is why a lot of people are probably going to take losses.
Well, my understanding of NFT now, I think, and a lot of other people, is buying these virtual art. You know, CryptoPunk was the first, I believe. correct me if I'm wrong, well, to sell these. And that was what I struggled with the most getting into this was, you know, why would anybody want to buy like a virtual picture at that amount? But that's probably a topic for another time. But I think that's what the mass are understanding NFTs about, like buying these virtual
I think there's a misunderstanding because you're not buying the art, you're buying a representation of the art. If you bought the art, that means it is yours. It is not yours. Most of these CryptoPunks and pixelated images, you're buying a pixelated image, okay, but you don't own a pixelated image. Think of a baseball card. You purchase a baseball card, you don't own the baseball player, you don't own rights to the baseball player. You just have a card with information on it.
Okay.
Now you can use the NFT to purchase the Mona Lisa. And the NFT's metadata, the information in the NFT that describes extra stuff, says this person bought the Mona Lisa at this date for whatever. You can put excess information like how much you paid for it, etc. And it's his legal right, title deed. So when that passes, ownership of the Mona Lisa passes.
Yeah.
That's what an NFT is very good for. You can lease the Mona Lisa to somebody with the NFT. The NFT now becomes a contract of lease.
Right.
Where you can have rights to this Mona Lisa for the next 360 days, assuming you don't do X, Y, Z, there's no material damage, etc. You have to store it in these conditions with X, Y, or Z storage.
So you're only leasing it.
You're doing whatever. The NFT is a container. This is an NFT, and this is another NFT. Drink some of that water. Drink like 3 big gulps. Okay. Go ahead, one more, because that looks funny on video. I just want to look at that. Look at it. Okay. See? Now, this is an NFT, and this is an NFT. One has a lot more valuable stuff in it than the other.
Right.
Okay? They're both NFTs. This one is a JPEG, which you own nothing except for what's in the bottom. This one has much more stuff. Ownership, contractual rights, etc. Both NFTs. Which one has more value?
That one.
Okay. It's just that simple. The NFT, the technology, is quite capable. Okay, but people are using it as just marketing fluff. Okay, if you're going to sell music through an NFT, sell rights to the music and rights to what you can do with the music. It should contain a contract. That's good for both parties. So now you can download music, you can own it versus streaming it, like with Tidal, etc. And the producer, the author of the music, can now make additional
get
funds.
royalties, right? Like that's
you could get royalties directly because you don't need a middleman. This is where the blockchain comes in.
Yeah.
And decentralization. You don't need a middleman or an authoritative third party, number one. And number two, you can build additional contracts into the NFT, such as you could buy my song for 99 cents.
Okay.
Or you could buy my song for $100. Why would someone buy my song for $100? Because I can guarantee I will give you 5 minutes of interview time with me one-on-one.
Right.
You could WhatsApp me for 5 minutes. You could talk to me about whatever you want. You can have all your friends available, and you can have a conversation.
That makes sense.
So now we have a song with a collectible that's very valuable, one-on-one with the artist.
So I have one example, and you can tell me if this is correct or not. So as an artist, if I produce a work of art and I sell it to you, and then you sell it to Michael, and then Michael sells it to Anastasia, and Anastasia sells it to Josephine, I will only get that money from you. Right. I will never get any profit from the transactions that are following with your other friends.
It all depends what the terms of the sale were.
Well, let's just say like that happens a lot nowadays where someone sells and they don't see anything.
Right.
So NFTs are now going to solve this, right?
How would they
I will get a little bit of money or equity every time someone resells it. Like it'll trace back to me.
It all depends. It all depends what the terms of the contract are.
Okay, so if this is the term, so this can be the benefit for me as an artist now by me putting this into my terms.
Let's work it out. We're going to build the NFT. This is the NFT. What would you like out of it? You're the artist. What would you like out of it?
I want that.
Write it down.
Okay.
Big letters so they can see it.
Okay. I'm just gonna use easy terms.
Okay. What? The nerve of this woman. You see what she's writing down? What? Hell no.
If you want to know what I wrote, right after this break.
Okay. She wants.
Oh, forever.
In perpetuity.
Okay, let's do in perpetuity.
That's forever in fancy words.
Ever.
Ever.
Okay.
Okay.
I didn't finish the word, but you can.
This is what she wants. Can you read it?
A little bit
Okay, yeah.
back.
You know what? Forget it. So she wants money when it's resold forever.
For in perpetuity.
For EVA in perpetuity. Okay?
As an artist.
That's very different from this NFT. So most of the NFTs that we were selling at the conference was this.
Ah, so the original owner's not getting...
The original owner didn't sell anything but pixels. Okay? So in that situation with this, it's the buyer who's getting ripped off. Unless the buyer just likes the pictures, those pictures. If you just like pixels, that's cool. The owner's taking in 100% profit.
Well, you're getting profit when, like, if I want to sell my pixels to you, and let's say, for example, CryptoPunk, correct me if I'm wrong, but right now it's going for minimums. Well, the bid is 70 ETH, but the price is 80 Ethereum.
Right.
So, but if I sell it, aren't I benefiting?
Well, you have to understand, what are you selling? Most of that stuff is you're just selling the actual picture, not the rights of ownership of the picture. Okay, they can resell the picture, but if they resell, a lot of times if they resell the picture under the auspices of it's ours, it's not theirs. The copyright belongs to you. You didn't sell the copyright. You literally, instead of selling the Mona Lisa, you sold ink.
Right.
Right, that was splashed
Or
in
like
the
a
shape
printed
of a Mona Lisa.
copy of it. Okay.
Okay. It's the ownership that counts. So you want to sell ownership, right? But you want money every time there's a transfer. You write that down in the metadata of the NFT. You make sure the NFT is in a digital format that can live on a blockchain specifically and be controlled through the blockchain. Every time it's transferred, okay, you can program that transfer to kick Satoshi's going back to you, little bits of that. Okay?
Right.
But it has to be something native to the blockchain that lives on the blockchain, because once it comes off the blockchain, you can't control what happens. They can take it off the blockchain so that 5 times you wouldn't know about it.
Right.
So if it's something that has to live on a blockchain or has to report to the blockchain in order to be used, then you can enforce that.
Woo.
That is the power of an NFT. Now you know what an NFT is.
Yeah, for sure. And I think this is beneficial for, I'm just going to use my example of, like, let's say handbags, right? So it is a very big market right now to buy branded handbags, resell them, and things like that. So I always thought that would be the benefit. When I go and look at your handbag, I know exactly if it's authentic or not, and how many people use the bag before me. And I think, and if I can buy the bag and then resell it and make profit off that, I think that would be awesome.
Hard to enforce because if the handbag lives on the blockchain, you can't carry it and put stuff in it.
Okay, so do you think that's not possible then, to have a physical item?
Anything is possible. Anything is possible.
No, you also get some motivation here.
Right. The reason why it might not be possible to you or Tom or Harry is because you just don't know how to do it.
Okay.
So I would think either move over and we're going to turn this because half of you was cut out. Okay? So what I would do, I hate to give out ideas, but I'm not going to do handbags. I actually know somebody who was very famous.
So if you want to know this, go to his private Patreon page and subscribe for this information.
Yes, if it existed. Right?
We're going to get there.
We're going to get there. So I'll give you this as a freebie, okay? Because this is most likely covered on the patent anyway.
Okay, cool.
So you take the handbag and you embed in the handbag a chip. RFC, low energy Bluetooth chip, etc.
So like RFID kind
right,
of thing?
Right.
Okay.
And it reports through the blockchain wirelessly a status. Okay? And if it doesn't report that status to the blockchain, that bag is counterfeit. If it's tampered with or damaged, that bag is counterfeit.
Right.
Okay? And if none of those are the case, Then the location, position, etc. of that handbag, depending on privacy issues, goes to the blockchain. So you can tell if it's transferred.
That's so cool. So like, for example, because let's say I have a bag and I use it. You know how when you sell pre-loved goods, you have to display like there's a scratch on it, or so you could input that into the blockchain and say, okay, I'm owner A and there's a little tiny scratch on the left side, and then once it gets sold to Mary, Mary will say, okay, I've used the bag, and there's now like a little hole on the...
You say, I'm owner A, there's a scratch on the left hand.
And you record that.
You record that, you sell it to owner B. Owner B has to assent to that. They have to agree. I bought it, and I bought it
with this condition.
Right, condition of a scratch there.
Yeah.
To the blockchain. Now it's stored. That's called provenance.
Right.
Or a chain of ownership. Provenance is in the art world, where you get to see which owner did what over time. And then she sells it to C. She scuffed the other corner. She marks it down. C agrees.
Yeah.
If C agrees, into the blockchain, next. And every transfer, guess what happens? You get paid.
Cool.
And you take me out to like a nice lunch because,
bucks.
you know,
Damn.
big bunch minus my steak lunch. Okay? You see how that works?
Yeah.
That is how an NFT is supposed to work.
Supposed to work. Okay.
Well, actually, that is how it works. There are people who do things like that.
Okay.
Like example, Uniswap, which is an exchange, decentralized exchange. Okay? They use NFTs to pay the people who supply liquidity. So when you put F or USDT or Tether in for people to buy and sell, there's a transaction. Some of that transaction fee goes to liquidity.
Is that the gas fee?
No, that's the transaction fee.
Okay.
The gas fee is what you use on the platform.
Okay.
Yeah. So that fee, that compensation, is paid off as an NFT.
And that's how they make that money.
Right. So the NFT holds the compensation. The compensation is different for every, person or entity, and it's paid off as an NFT. The NFT is a contract. What we just described with the purse is a contract. The two killer uses, killer apps for NFT, contracts and identity.
Okay.
You pull out your passport, your license, can be easily counterfeited, can be cheated. You can put this and that. As an NFT, very, very hard to counterfeit. It's on a blockchain.
So it sounds like people are focusing on the wrong thing.
Marketers are focusing on low-hanging fruit that everybody digs. Everybody digs music and art, etc. But
games.
Yeah, they have no idea. You can use NFTs for games with no problem. Contractual, right? When you buy and sell your skins and your virtual currency, do it through NFT and put the terms of the contract in. You can enforce it automatically through the NFT. So what's special about contracts on a blockchain, smart contracts, they can be enforced automatically because the money is part of the contract. The money sits into the contract. You don't fulfill your end of the contract, you don't get paid.
Right.
And you don't have to go to anybody else because the contract can check if you fulfilled it or not.
Okay, that makes sense.
You see the cool stuff? This is the real power of the NFT. Not a single person on that stage over the last 2 or 3 days bothered to give any real useful use case for NFTs that I saw.
Okay, can you talk a little bit about that? Can you talk about like what you saw and?
Well, I left out most of them, but
I mean, I can only guess what was said.
So that's right, because she didn't attend. So people were talking about NFTs for games and for artwork, etc. But again, there's no real value transfer. Basically, it's a way of taking money from somebody who wants a new buzzword or a picture that they don't have ownership of or copyrights to. Value is how you gain wealth. A lot of people are speculating on NFTs to become wealthier or richer. In order to become wealthier, you need capital, right? Capital with value. When you buy NFTs, most of that time, you do not get ownership, so it is not yours. If there's any value imbued in it, you don't get it. As an artist, you could get paid, sell NFTs all day, and you still owe what it was that you made.
You still owe?
You still own it.
Oh, yeah. Okay.
O-W-N, own it. I said O, right? You still own.
You still own it, right?
I'm tired, and I haven't eaten, and she hasn't fed me. Okay.
I tried to.
But I think for this education, was education very valuable?
I think so.
Okay, lunch is on you.
But at the same time, I brought the audience here. No, I'm just kidding. Okay, cool. This was very, very valuable. Yeah, 100%.
Okay.
Do you feel like there's anything on the top of your head that we could add to this conversation?
Ask questions, I'll answer.
Okay.
I'll let you guide the discussion. But you do see now where I see NFTs are just a total, as they're being marketed, a total waste of...
I'm still like racking my brain about this as well because, like, okay, I've seen a lot of people talk about how they made so much money from being an early adopter of an NFT, right? So my question would be, I mean...
But let's stop right there. They made money by being an early adopter, or they made money by selling an NFT for more than they paid for it?
Exactly. The latter.
Difference, okay?
Do you think that opportunity, like, do you think that opportunity is going to collapse soon?
Of course, once people figure out what NFTs really are for and what they do, it'll collapse immediately if you knew that you were buying nothing and the only way for you to make money was for you to get somebody else to pay more for the nothing that you bought.
Okay, so who's benefiting all of this? Just the artist, or
whoever sold the NFT for? Here, look at this. What is that?
Plastic container.
Okay, how much is it worth?
1 cent or less.
1 cent. Okay, take it.
Okay, it's a magic trick.
Okay, we're gonna have things worth value. Okay.
To be debated, though.
To be debated? Okay, no problem. She said to be debated. Why is it to be debated?
I can say anything on here.
Go ahead, go for it.
Isn't money, like US dollar, not backed by gold, or it's just backed by the community? Like it's not actually worth anything? Or are you bringing this in?
Read that.
1887?
Read all of it so they know what it is.
United States of America, 10.
Keep going.
10?
10 US dollars.
Ooh.
Okay. This is what American money looked like in the year 1887. 10 US dollars, which is right now, this is roughly a half ounce or an ounce of gold. Yeah, it's about a half ounce of gold, if I'm not mistaken. Okay, gold is about 1800 and change per ounce, so it's just about a little under $1,000.
Okay.
Okay.
All right. I thought he was gonna pull this out.
we went from $10 to a little under over $1,000. So this is called inflation because now to get $10. You need a bunch of these, okay? But you just saw that and you commented before you actually knew what you were looking at.
Exactly.
The folly of the youth.
Newbie.
Okay.
Don't assume anything.
So, where was I going with this? So, hey, you could sell me this. Now I have this. How much was it worth?
Well, it was worth a cent. Now it's worth $20.
It's really worth $20 to who?
Well, it's worth $20 to me.
Well, if it was worth $20 to you, you wouldn't have sold it for $20.
It was worth $20 to you.
No, it wasn't.
Because you thought it was worth $20 because
I'm proving a point, but let's say I thought it was worth $20, right? No, you're right. I'm being funny, right? So I thought it was worth $20, right? But I'm trying to make money because this is an NFT. How can I make money with this?
By selling it to another person for more?
For more.
Okay.
The greater fool theory. I was a fool for giving you $20 for this. Okay? Now, the only way for you to make money is to find a bigger fool. And then that bigger fool says, hey, I'll give you this.
Oh my God, yes.
Okay, so you take that and I find... Now, the fool C can only make money if they find somebody to pay this.
Yeah.
On and on and on. Yeah. And that's how the NFTs are currently happening. But guess what? The 2 cents, it's not even like that. Because the digital representation of a JPEG, it's not even 2 cents to travel. It really wasn't. You paid 2 cents for it, so you got.
Okay, but what about the companies what about the independent groups that are creating an NFT and they're investing? They are saying that they're investing a lot of money into the project, marketing, and so when we spend $200 US on their NFT, for example, we're paying for the cost cost them to make it. So what about that aspect, right?
I don't care.
Yeah.
What's the value of it? Listen.
Yeah.
You
Drop the mic.
So you get this, and then you get a bunch of people who charge you $40 an hour to polish it to get all those little scratches out of it.
Right.
So you have it polished nice and fine, right? And then you bring a beautiful model to kiss it, so her lips are there. And then some dude who looks buffy and he lifts curls with it. So now you have it polished with maybe some lips there and some muscular they lifted it 40 times. You spent $700 to get these people to do that. How much is it worth now?
Well, to the public it's worth $700, but in actual fact it's worth.
It's to the public. So you, if I bought this to you, now that I buffed the scratches out, and there was maybe a kiss there, you don't know who it's from, and I told you some muscular dude did curls with it, would you pay $700 for this right now?
I wouldn't.
Why not?
Why I wouldn't?
Yes.
Well, I've never really been swayed by marketing.
Okay.
So I'm not the wrong
But
person.
it's out of your marketing. Give me the real reason.
Okay, so
why wouldn't you pay $700 for this if I took?
Because I don't find it valuable.
Okay. And just because I pay $700
doesn't mean
for
I
people
have
to do
find
stuff
it
to
valuable.
it, right? So my cost, my sunk cost, has nothing to do with value. If I managed to increase the value, I did. But just because I spent money on it doesn't mean the value increased. This happens a lot in real estate. People buy a house, they fall in love with it. They put 9 bathrooms and special sinks with pink and gold and blue inlays and, you know, art that people might find questionable. And say, I spent $3 million renovating this house, and I paid $1 million for it. I need at least $5 million. Listen, I give you $14.95. Just because you spent money on something doesn't mean you increase the value.
Okay.
It's quite possible to do it, but it all depends on how you spent it and what the perception of your audience is. So you're saying that because there's a marketing budget for the people who did the NFTs, the value goes up? No.
Right.
Their expenses went up. The value is what the public perceives it to be, or how much money it can create. So if you are an investor, right, the best way for an investor to value something is there are 2 ways to value it. There's resale value, how much you can sell it for, and then there's intrinsic value, how much money it makes. So
that makes sense.
The intrinsic value is very easy. You could take a building. We're in downtown Miami on Brickell. You see those buildings? Those are residential income buildings and or hotels, apartments, right? Each one of those apartments throw off, say, $3,000, $4,000 a month in rent.
Yeah.
And there's 600 of them. Okay, let's make something. Say there's 10,000. It's not that many. 5,000. Okay, so 5,000 a month, 5,000 apartments. How much is that?
Oh, how much is the total?
Yeah.
25.
With 6 zeros.
$250,000.
Okay, that's not right, is it? 5,000 plus 2,500.
Yeah.
Okay.
Oh no, actually, no, it's not right.
Everybody buy apartments from her.
It's not right at all.
Okay, that's about right. Say it to the camera. Okay, so, okay, now, I paid, let's say I paid $20 million for that. $25 million worth of cash comes out of it.
Okay.
I paid $100 million for it. Okay, and I get current cash flow, which is significant. The market drops. I'm having a problem selling it, and the most I can sell it for is $100,000. Okay, how much are those buildings worth?
So would I deduct 100,000 or from this amount, or
no? This is actually a lot easier than it seems. The highest bidder for this apartment complex is $100,000
for one unit, or for the entire thing?
All these buildings. The most I can get is $100,000. How much are those buildings worth?
According to me, or according to
your opinion?
Well, I mean, can I say that I can reject the offer? Or?
Say, of course, it's your building. You do what you want with it.
Well, yeah, I wouldn't take it at all because it's so much lower than what I paid for it.
Well, that doesn't mean it's not worth $100,000. Remember, we were just discussing the house and all the money that you put into it, and that doesn't mean it's worth it. That means you either wasted your money if it was an investment, or you catered it to your personal taste.
Yeah.
Okay. So your highest bid is $100,000 for these buildings. How much is it worth?
100,000.
You think so?
Well,
okay.
According to, I mean, that's all I can get.
That's the highest bid, 100,000. How much is it worth?
So either I wait and see if...
Just tell me how much it's worth. Give me a number. Because they're waiting for your answer, so we're going to move on.
I feel like I am in school right now.
Just
I don't work under pressure.
Throw a number out. Let's say you think it's worth 100,000 because the highest bid is worth 100,000, right? Mm-hmm. It's not quite 100,000. Water cash. If you told me that, I'll buy it now. Mm-hmm. Pass the deed over. Write it. Click sign.
Yeah.
No, hurry up, because I don't want you changing your mind. Done. Deal done. Okay. So she got $100,000, which is the highest bid on the market. Two ways to value any asset. One is resale value. The other is intrinsic value. She sold me 5,000 apartments, paying $5,000 a month in rent for $100,000. So she sold me all those buildings for less than 1 month worth of rent.
That sucks.
I just made, I can't even calculate it.
Yeah.
$24,900,000.
Yeah, that's correct.
The first month. Everything else is gravy. Why? Because she didn't know how to value the property. Right? So if the resale value is too far away from the intrinsic value, then you know there's something wrong.
Yeah.
So it doesn't matter.
Last night.
Yeah, it doesn't matter what the market value is at. If you're getting $25 million in cash flow, it's worth that times the future price. So you take that and you multiply it by other payments into the future, and then you use something called a discount, a risk factor. You bring it back to today's value. That sounds like a lot, but basically you could just count the money. Okay?
Yeah.
Now, we could do it the other way around, right? So you just got ripped for a very valuable piece of property right on the water. Let's do this the other way around, okay? You're getting $100,000 a month in rent for all these apartments.
Yeah.
Okay?
And now I sell it.
And then you sell it, and the highest bid is $400 million. Mm-hmm. Okay? Would you sell those properties?
Yeah.
You would?
Well, I paid, what did you say? I paid $100,000?
You paid, say, $100 million for it.
100 million. Well, I would make 300 million.
Yeah.
So I would.
You would? Mm-hmm. Okay, so.
I mean.
Here's the money. I now have the deed to the buildings, and guess what?
It goes up.
No, I just donated an awful lot of my money to you,
yeah.
And I have a loss that it may never dig out of, but who knows? I have to wait on it. So, one was the property's being overpriced relative to its intrinsic value, but the resale value says it's this much, intrinsic value said it's X. The other one was the buildings being significantly underpriced by resale value. So that's where you need to know how much they're worth intrinsically. Intrinsically means inside, and how much the market says they're worth. The market goes up and down. If the market value always equal the intrinsic value, smart investors would never be able to make money because everything I bought would be for exactly what it's worth. I make money by taking advantage of you.
Yeah.
So I need to buy something for less than it's worth, or I need to sell it to you for more than it's worth. Okay. Hence, back to the NFTs. You're buying something for less than it's worth. How do I know? Because it ain't worth anything, right? If you're selling it for more than it's worth. How do I know? Because it ain't worth anything.
So how do we use then this technology for good, let's say?
Define good. Now you're getting the real murky waters. What is good? Good is anything that makes Reggie a lot of money and makes me happy. That's good. Right, and bad is anything that doesn't make me happy and doesn't make me a lot of money.
Yeah, and I guess it could be applied to everyone else.
No, I mean, that's just the definition of good. I just gave it to you, so I want to stick with that.
Yeah,
I like mine better. Right? But so good and bad, you know, because there's a saying, one man's terrorist is the next man's freedom fighter.
Right.
So, you know, good and bad are a little shaky, subjective. But it's best to understand what it is you're buying and why you're buying it. Okay, and what its value is. So this has been going on for a minute, but have you heard something?
Have I heard something?
I mean, have you learned something?
I've learned a lot.
Recap. What have you learned? You can take as long as you want.
So I've learned, I've learned that an NFT is really based on the community and how the community values something. I mean, which I already knew, but I didn't understand like the whole contract part of it. If I wanted to make my own NFT, I didn't understand like how I could do that and make it profitable for myself and for other people.
And you know, to understand, all you have to do is just go look up the technology.
Exactly.
You know, just look it up in the Ethereum protocol, whatever protocol that you're using.
And I mean, I think my last question is like, I mean, you've explained a lot, but in a nutshell, if you are on that stage, like, what would you say?
Well,
in a short form.
You know what I would say? It all depends what my bias, my ulterior motive and agenda was. Everybody on that stage had an agenda.
Okay.
They paid $50,000, $30,000, $20,000, whatever they had to pay to have their 15 minutes on stage to sell their stuff. First, you have to be aware of what they were there for.
Yeah.
Okay.
For sure, they're the vendors.
Right.
100%.
But that's not bad. Okay. But you have to understand what they're selling. If you're selling NFTs because NFTs are hot and you're not giving a real value add, then that wouldn't have been me. If I was up there, I'd sell outside of consulting services to tell people not to buy any of this trash, right? I would say I describe how we use NFTs. I describe contracts, and I think that's eye-opening, particularly for someone like artists or any other vendor. I could also describe it as identification. You have a universal ID that can identify you anywhere and cannot be taken by anybody. It's very powerful, right? Those are two things I've described. And I'll say everybody else on the stage with NFTs, please, right? Stand below me. Pions.
All right.
No, I wouldn't do that.
So, yeah, so you would basically like be a consulting service to help artists actually...
Well, I wouldn't do that because I don't have the time to do that.
No, not you, but if you wanted to create value for the community.
What I would do is I would sell NFTs that have real value and real purpose.
Yeah.
So not
Can
JPEGs.
you give us an example?
The example of the songs. You could buy my song for 99 cents, and we're not going to use a distribution agent because we're going to sell right off the internet, right? And then the money that I would lose from cutting with the record label, I'll put into marketing the song. You have a choice, 99 cents or $99. And then everybody says, why would I pay you $99? Because I'm going to give you, say, 10 minutes, interview, directly talk to me,
and
the artist, right? You can ask me, what was I thinking when I made the song? You know, did it have any personal meaning? Yes, well, when my brother OD'd on drugs, it really hurt me and shocked the family. And I decided that I want to make a song about health and drug abuse, or incest, or etc. Whatever strong
and then could you own that footage?
Well, anybody. It all depends on what
the contract. Yeah. And then
that
could be a thing like you own that footage.
What you could do is you let the buyer of the NFT own the footage. The footage is stored on the blockchain, and then every time
he sells that footage, you
so
get
now
money.
Your footage goes viral. That person gets popular. That person can actually make money from it, and you take commissions. Virality to the next level. Okay. That's Web 3.0 virality. Okay. All right. And the metaverse is a big scam.
I don't even want to get into that.
You know what the metaverse is? It's called the web.
Web 3 or...
It's the internet.
Yeah.
No, Web 3. You know, it's the internet. You know, Web 1, Web 2. It's not. It's just the internet. As it progresses and more technology and more business now, it's the internet. But it's very hard to market that. So we have to call it something else.
Well, that's why
the metaverse.
Yeah, for sure. And that's why people, like, I think Balenciaga, the brand, went on, like, has created their virtual clothes. And the reason why people would pay so much for it is so that they can look cool on the metaverse. I had to really ask that question. I was like, why would anyone spend money on a virtual shoe or virtual bag? Like, it just really blew my mind. It just didn't make any sense. And someone had to really, like, answer me slowly and say, it's so that you can wear it and your avatar on the metaverse. Because that's where you're going to spend most of your time. Well, they want you to spend most of your time with
They want to if they could. So what you do is you can bind that to something physical.
Yeah.
You buy it physical, you get X
that's the
amount
only
of
way it
time.
would make sense for me if I was into the metaverse.
Now you have to be open-minded and assume that a lot of people are going to spend more and more time in front of their screens in the metaverse. Okay, so you can make that assumption, but you also have to make sure what you're selling has value. With clothing, branding is everything.
Yeah.
You know, you don't get better clothes when you buy more. A lot of people believe so, but you know they're taught to believe so. Okay.
Yeah.
But we're way down the rabbit hole now.
Yeah.
Okay. Did you enjoy this?
I enjoy this. Yeah. Do you enjoy it? And do you think your viewers enjoyed it?
I have no idea. We'll find out. This is not usually my viewers here, but you know, we'll see. We'll let them have it. And
I think this is a video really for anybody, like for anybody who is either misinformed or, you know, wants to start investing in NFTs or has already invested in NFTs. And so what do you say to the people who have spent 70 ETH on a pixel art? Like,
I'm sorry. I'm sorry.
Okay.
You know?
I mean, the best thing for them would to sell it, right?
Well, if you can sell it, but their platform was where you pay 70 ETH for the art, but you can't sell it because you don't have the liquidity, right? You can't sell it because it's within a program. You need the permission of the program. You know, read the fine print and know what you bought. Okay, and chances are, if you understood what you bought, you probably wouldn't have bought it in this context.
Okay.
Okay, if you don't get ownership when you buy something, you probably haven't bought anything.
Okay.
Okay.
All right, cool. Thank you.
Okay. So goodbye, all. Peace.
Thank you.
Okay. Reintroduce yourself on the way out.
So once again, my name is Natasha. I make content for English speakers to learn more about the crypto industry and also words. So there was a few words that you have mentioned in this video that, you know, I'm going to use. So thank you very much.
Okay.
And yeah.
Let me know in the comments if you want to see more of her or much more of her. Okay. And don't tell me you'd rather see her than me. I'm not trying to hear that. Okay. Okay.
It's a theme effort. All right. Thank you so much.
Okay.
Peace.
Au revoir.
Au revoir.